uh, interesting topic. Setting boundaries with your friends and loved ones and their baggage. I think there's when we have somebody that we really care about, we love them, we want the best for them. It's really hard. Oh, just so you know, Charlotte, that's Charlotte. She's gonna sit in today if you guys don't mind. Let's see if I can. You can see her too. Anyway, hi, whoever's watching. Um, when we have people that we really care about, friends, family, even colleagues, when we really care for someone, we open up a part of our emotional body to them, and we feel whatever they feel. Every person to varying degrees of empathy, but when they have problems or when they have issues, and they're not prepared to deal with their issues in your mind. Maybe how you see them is that they don't make efforts to make changes that they need to make to stop the trauma from continuing. That's your view. Oftentimes there's a deep misunderstanding about what their real issue is. And at the beginning, if we were to take it all the way back to where their trauma began, people become traumatized over and over and over and over. And there are layers of that trauma that is transferred out onto the people that they love. Oftentimes they do it unconsciously. They don't know that that's what they're doing. They don't know that they are feeling a lot of stuff about this situation over here, but they're transferring it over onto their relationship with you, or experiences that you have with them, or that you witness that they have with others. So when someone is carrying an enormous emotional / spiritual burden, the person carrying that burden ultimately has to get to the root cause of what their trauma is and find a way to make peace with it, to forgive it, to reconcile it. And until they do that, every person they try to help, every person that they tell their problem to, every person that they transfer that energy onto is a mirror to them about what, in connection to what their original trauma was or is. Events happen, events are in the past, the trauma is always present until it is reconciled. So that's the topic. Just a fun little Friday afternoon ditty for you. I would like to take a few minutes to read to you a little excerpt from my book, Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, Heal Spiritual Trauma to Open Your Heart and Restore Your Soul. Chapter part 1 addresses this. And one of the things that I talk about in the book is the Slayer's path, the practice of remembering, learning, and having. So it is as you begin to, as you begin to slay the issues in your life, the demons in your life, the events that you have been traumatized by, as you begin to dig up that information, it is a practice. It is an experience. It's a choice to begin to remember, learn, and to shift that consciousness. So I'm gonna read you just a little paragraph. Uncovering your soul's innate blueprint, discovering new ways of managing or changing those unconscious habits, and making peace with what you have are powerful challenges. Having a lot is often complicated. Having too much can be disheartening, and having just enough makes you wonder if you need more. Cultivating balance is a lifelong pursuit and is dependent on the spiritual imprints of your soul, your subconscious relationship to food and money, and how well you manage the most basic elements of all you possess. One of the things a slayer must do if they're going to be successful is to develop self-awareness of their personal and cultural spiritual imprints or karma. The practice of remembering the vital elements of the mental, emotional, and physical conditioning and ideology with which they are born. and grieving or celebrating the truth of it. So we are born with energy and information, and oftentimes it is based on a previous life trauma. So when that experience happens, we don't think of it as our issue, and we may not even know it's our issue. We just know that it makes us sad, it makes us feel bad, it makes us mad when we see people or things in front of us that mirror that thing. We challenge it in them because our real truth is seeking to challenge it in us and to decipher what is the truth about it. Is it something that is current? Is it something that needs to be renovated, shifted? Is it something that needs to be let go of altogether? So when that's happening, a person is going to identify outside of them what they are unable to fully clearly see within them. And that's how energy gets transferred onto other people. So that's the issue. Now, how do we resolve it? How do you your first, if you're the person who has been traumatized, there's a phrase, it really it irks me when people say, "Oh my God, she's just they're so dramatic. There's such drama. Oh, stop the drama." Drama equals trauma. If there's drama, there is an internal trauma that is unresolved. And to make light of it outside of joy, and what that means is there is a place for humor in healing, but not when we're making fun of others. That's not funny, right? So when we are making fun of others, when we are chastising others or criticizing others for having big emotions because we don't understand them, we have to create a space to have a little deeper well of compassion for that person. And one of the ways, so the person who has the trauma needs to have a deeper level of self-awareness and willingness to look at the anatomy of their emotion. And the person on the outside, the friend, the loved one, the partner, they have to be able to say, "Hey, I see that you're upset, and unfortunately, I can't hear about it." What? What kind of friend are you? I know that's what you think, right? That's what other people think. If you should be able to take it all on to be a good friend. Hold on 1 minute. Stephen has something to say. How do we help others with their trauma without being drawn into it ourselves? Yes. So the goal here is to set a boundary about what it is that you need. If you can hear, I know, right? He says, yeah, I was answering his question as he was writing it because we're right there. That's what's happening. When you've got to decipher where you are at. If you have a lot going on yourself and you need to not take on the emotionalism of what somebody's going through in their process, meaning you're unable to help them process through what they're going through, whether it's through talking, whatever it is, you have a right and a responsibility as a good human being to be honest about that, because that frees them to go to somebody else who is better prepared to help them in that way. Maybe it's a professional, maybe it's another friend, maybe it's somebody who doesn't have, they've got a reprieve in their life and have some space to sit down and hear it out. And maybe their emotional connection to the person is a little more objective. They're a little less attached, maybe even a little less connected, where they can hear whatever they've got going on and say, well, that's, sorry for your troubles. Sorry for your troubles. So you, as wanting to be a good person, needs to be able to identify what you need and to say it. What you don't want to do is amplify the situation by making someone feel bad about where they're at and what they need. They don't need that, right? Why don't you just do this? If you do this, then it solves all the problems. Or why don't you just break up with him? Or why don't you just stop seeing her? It seems like that, this person is the cause of all your problems, right? We tend to want to try to fix the person and their dynamic and their issue because we can clearly see what might shift the immediate moment. But what we don't see is that the real gain for that person being in that relationship or in that circumstance is for them to fill up that space themselves and to set that boundary themselves. If they don't ever learn how to do it, then they're going to continue to repeat the dynamic until they do. So you trying to fix it for them does not help them. And it's hurtful. It feels critical. It feels like a betrayal when you were the person on the other side and you're in that deep emotion and your friend is saying, just do this. So if you cannot be the friend to sit and listen and be even about it, then be honest that you can't be that friend at that time. You can also compromise and make an agreement to, go on a walk together and talk about something else. Oftentimes, when we are willing to not to let go of the problem at hand, other energy can come into the space and show us and give us energy and ideas and new information, seemingly about other stuff, but pretty much everything is interconnected, and it really does have the ability to shine light on something when we're not looking for it. Okay, so Melanie says, I seem to attract people in their difficult moments. What's that about? I hear you in my mind saying, what's that about? Here's the thing. When we have hurt ourselves, when we have pain, we attract other people who have pain so we can better see our own pain. When we do that, it's teaching us how to help ourselves. That advice we want to give others, that thing we want to fix for others, we are truly seeking to bring balance to within ourselves. So having boundaries with yourself. If you are attracting people who they're having a difficult time taking care of themselves, and you're ready for a person who can enjoy taking care of you and not be so self-centered, self-focused, that's you. Then that's you needing to set that boundary and not choose that person, right? People have this idea about attraction, that if you attract it, it must be right. Well, there is some truth to that. Karmically speaking, you are a vibration you've got many patterns going on that are attracting, pulling, and repelling things from your life, right? You've got that going on all the time, every day. So whatever you're attracting, you still have a choice in it. You're attracting it because it's telling you something about yourself, maybe something that needs to be resolved, balanced, or forgiven. So do that. If it's something that's pleasurable to you, or maybe you're repelling. So, for example, this chapter that talks about this particular topic, it's really the foundation of our relationship to food and money. Isn't that interesting? We started talking about boundaries, and then we end up talking about food and money. But food and money are the resources from which we learn to manage everything else in our life. And if we lack either of them, we don't ever fully feel safe or comfortable, and we don't ever fully trust ourselves, the universe, the people around us. It makes it fairly difficult. So there was something I wanted to say, and there always comes this moment where I go blank. Talking about food and money. Yes. So how you relate, your initial relationship to food and money, many, many years ago when I became an independent contractor. At this point, I've been an independent contractor for over 2 decades. But at the very beginning, I was used to having that paycheck coming in. And when I became an independent contractor, I would have clients call and book. And I remember the first time I had enough clients on the book to make me the same amount that in 1 week that I would have made in an entire month with my job. And I looked at that and I felt this like pang of like, oh, but what if I lose it? Isn't that hilarious? But what if I lose it? Here's all this opportunity, but what if I lose it? And you know that 2 or 3 people called and canceled. Just energetically, my spirit needed to balance it out, like spread it out throughout the month so I can feel safe with this amount. And it took me almost a year to shift my relationship to how much money I would make based on what I needed and how to feel safe, right? And eventually, my practice, my experience turned into my ability to just focus on my work and not think about the money, because there was always more than enough money, right? And so how we relate, how our world interacts with us teaches us about deeper levels of understanding about who we are, what we need, and why we do what we do. So we have Tracee Lee. She says, why do strangers feel comfortable coming to me with their problems, and how can I shut that off? Well, I always love that. Do you secretly want to help people? Are you a secret people helping person? Everything happens to us gives us a currency that we do need. And so if people are attracted to your advice, to your balance, to your focus, whatever it is that you have that they are attracted to, it's a compliment to you because they are seeking something in you within themselves. They see it mirrored in you. You either need to set boundaries or be honest with yourself that there's a currency that you get, something that feels good to you about being of service to others. And then find a way to do that thing in a deliberate way rather than in an unconscious way. I said unconscious, not unconscious way. Unconscious is we just attract people bringing us their problems and we give them the answers, blah, 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 right? Conscious is, you know what? I'm going to find a way to be of service to people where I can set boundaries within that. Set up 15-minute sessions, do readings, get a degree, whatever it is, whatever paradigm you want to be of service in, do that so that you can get that currency, because it's happening to you not haphazardly, but because it deliberately wants to offer you something and you're receiving something for it. Once you know what that is, you can better define it. Stephen says, so managing our relationships with food and money can help manage boundaries in other areas and with other people. Ding, 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 ding. Exactly that. You just put a nice bow on it. When you recognize the pattern that you have in your relationship to food and money, those are your first lessons in setting boundaries. Setting boundaries with yourself is how you will set boundaries with others. You're welcome, Tracee. So how you set boundaries with yourself, I'm going to say that one more time so I can wrap it up. Setting boundaries with yourself is how you learn to set boundaries with other people. How you respect yourself is how you command that others respect you, just energetically. So that's what I got for you today. This has been just delightful. Lovely to see everyone. Have a magnificent weekend. And just a shameless plug, this weekend, tomorrow afternoon, 4:00 Pacific Standard Time, Conquer Your Karmic Relationships is up for 5 different awards. And Chatcast, ta-da! Chatcast is up for 2 awards in the 2021 Cover Visionary Awards. And you can tune into that live on Facebook and on YouTube at COVRORG at cover.org. So tune in to the 2021 Cover Visionary Awards. Several weeks back, I was really, pitching people to participate in the process and to vote on all the finalists. And so now we're going to see the results of that. It's going to be very exciting. And I'm very excited to see how Conquer Your Karmic Relationships did in the final tally. And Charlotte, she says goodbye. Have a terrific weekend, everybody. And I will read more of those notes in a bit.